There was times when my voices said, pay attention to the sun. We're about to dim it, and the sunlight will be dimmed when they say it. But back to the introduction. That's for another video. You'll be introduced to V2K or gang stalking through what I call subliminal messages. You'll receive subliminal messages from the TV, from people around you, from your family members, friends, that it'll seem like they're talking about you. It'll seem like what a main focus of a problem. And always keep in mind that problem, whatever it is that they're talking about, that means that's why you're on the whole program or whatever this is, because they want to address a problem. That's what they did with me. They wanted to address a problem, and they've addressed it. And in the beginning, it started off so small. Like, if it was technology, they said it was the feds. When I first started talking to them, they said it was the feds and that I committed a crime. And that, I was scared of that because I know I've committed plenty of crimes in my time. So I didn't want to go to jail. So I would tell them, no, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. But as I learned, as I progressed through the levels, from them introducing themselves, they wanted to just get their point across that I did something wrong in order to get into the program. So after a while of me denying, any and every accusation that they can give me, I finally broke down and said, all right, well, listen, I committed these crimes. So, what are we going to go from here? So they said they would lock me up. But as time progressed, I didn't get locked up. So don't ever feel afraid. Don't ever feel afraid. Like, if they're going to lock you up, kill you, don't be afraid of that. You give them power. Fear is what controls the mind, and what they want to do is control your mind. They want to control every aspect of your thought process in order to keep you in that first stage. But once you recognize, or once you realize why you've been in the program, you can address them about why you're in the program. So you have to be very aware of what's going on. That's why I say you have to be studying. You have to learn the way communication skills is between one person and another, because that's all this is. The whole program is based on communication and psychological programming for that communication. So when you think that, that you're going to die, or when you think that you're going to go to jail, it gives them a lot more power than you know. I like to call the program the redemption program, because from my experience, I only speak about the things that's going on with me, and hopefully that you can learn from it. But I call it the redemption program because after they sat there and told me that I did all of these vicious criminal acts, I've sat there and said, well, where are we going to go with this? And they said, well, what do you want? And I said, I just want to be forgiven for everything. So then, slowly but surely, one of the voices said, he's being sincere, because they could tell when you're being sincere. They can hear what you hear. They can see what you see. They know what you think. They can make you think. Like, the whole program is designed to overpower yourself and to isolate you from regular people. And they'll use regular people. They'll mind control regular people. I know it sounds like sci-fi or anything like that, but for the people that's been through it, they know that it's not sci-fi. So I won't even address that because it's like a slap in the face to them. But you'll notice that they'll use a lot of sound waves or a lot of background sounds in order to communicate with you in the beginning. After a while, they'll communicate with you. You'll either advance to gang stalking, or V2K, which means voice to skull, which means that you hear voices in your head. And there's different types of ways that you hear voices in your head. There's the thought, the way that you, like, let's say, for example, you're reading a book. I'm going to describe this so that way people who don't have it understand what it is. When you're reading a book, in your mind, that voice in your head, that's how they talk to you. But they can use your voice and make it seem like it's you. But you have to be able to know yourself to know what you're thinking and what you would have thought. The whole thing is, how well do you know yourself and how well do you know the people around you? Because they'll use anything and everything to try to separate you from reality. I mean, I managed to get by because of the whole redemption program. I picked a theme. You know, I could have sat there, did music. I could have elevated myself in any way that I wanted to, but I picked religion. And I don't believe in just one religion. I believe in 3 religions, but that's just religion conversation. So I'll keep that out of it. So you have to be able to pick a theme, something that's best for you. If you want to see them as a government, then you got to address them as a government. If you want to see them as spiritual beings, then you got to address them as spiritual beings. You can't flip-flop, because the whole concept is to communicate with you. So when they pick one theme, when they notice that you're picking one theme, they'll try to scare you with that theme. Or at least the voices in my head try to, pin me down through the themes that I was thinking, because I thought they were FBI's, I thought they were CIA, because that's what they were telling me. They were telling me that they were CIA, they were telling me that they were FBI, but they won't tell you who they are. That's what you got to understand. No matter what they tell you, they won't tell you who they are, because they're not going to get found out. There's no way that you're going to find these people out. They're too smart, and they go through too many precautions in order to keep themselves from being found out. So stage 1 is when they introduce themselves through sounds and places. So it's certain places that'll trigger the sounds. There's certain situations that'll trigger the sounds. And then as they elevate, the sounds will progress from maybe a couple of hours to maybe 12 hours. Then eventually it'll go right into 24/7. You'll either get Gangstalk 24/7 here, V2K, or a combination of both, or do weapons. I feel bad for the people who go through do weapons, because that's a lot of pain that they go through. And even gangstalking. Gangstalking is the most uncomfortable thing that you could actually go through. Me dealing with the voices, it's all a mental thing. So all I have to do is just elevate my mental capacity in order to understand what's going on between the conversations from me and them, and try to address what's going on, so that way I can find out the information that I need to find out. The whole thing is to find out the information that you don't have, why you're in this program, why they're doing this to you. And they won't do it right off the bat because they like doing what they're doing. It's not that they like doing it, but they have to do it because they put people through stress in order to elevate them. Now, if you fight against this program, if you fight against these voices, if you fight against gang stalking, it'll kill you. It can kill you. This whole thing can kill you. It'll drive you to suicide. So you have to be a lot stronger mentally, not physically, because physical appearances isn't what makes the person. It's the mind what makes the person. So you have to be a lot stronger. So as they're injecting these sounds into your body or into your mind, you have to separate that and understand it. All right, well, this is part of the program. This is part of the process. They want to communicate with me. I have to pay attention, and I have to find out what is it that they're trying to tell me, because they're trying to tell you something. They'll let you know why you're in the program. And you'll get so scared at the fact that, oh my God, I could get in trouble, or oh my God, I could die, or oh my God, my family think like of me like this. No, it's all part of the program. And me, I've been dealing with targeted individuals for a while after I have managed to beat the system and get myself to a better understanding of who I am and what these voices are trying to do. So you have to study. Nothing comes easy. So if you want some kind of peace in your life, study psychology. Study social psychology, why people do the things that they do, and it'll make you a lot better communicative towards your voices, or communicative towards the gang stalking. And gang stalking, it's all a mental thing. So when people are following you, when people are doing things to you, breaking into your house, it's all what's supposed to happen, because those things would happen even if you weren't part of the program. So it makes it seem like you're being targeted because they want to speak to you. They want to single you out. So you have to be very, very careful as to how you approach the thing. Don't go to anybody and tell them, oh, you're following me. Don't tell them, oh, you're part of the program, because they won't know nothing about it, and they'll deny it, just like the voices would deny it. So you have to be very careful about what you do, because you could get yourself in trouble. You could land yourself in jail, because it'll be from electronic harassment or spiritual harassment or whatever this is, and you'll turn it against where you're harassing other people and you're making other people uncomfortable. So keep it within yourself. If you can, try to keep this within yourself. Go to targeted individuals that understand what you're saying, because if you go to a normal person, they won't understand what you're saying. You have to go to like-minded people. You have to go to the flock. Go to the people that understand you the most, which is the targeted individual community, and let the targeted individual community educate other people. Because it's not, you can't force somebody to be educated, because they're part of the system, they're part of the program, they can be manipulated. You can't, for whatever reason. So don't let yourself be manipulated and fall back into the program, or don't let yourself fall back into their ways of thinking or the way that they treat you, because it's all mind control. You have to maintain, you have to keep your sanity, and you have to keep your profile the way it was while elevating. It's hard because you got to keep yourself, you have to find yourself, and you have to keep yourself 100% the way it was. So you're elevating, but you're stagnant. And as you elevate, when you get more smarter, when you get more knowledgeable, when you get more intellectual to this program, you'll understand that these sounds, that the stage one isn't going to affect you, because all it is fear. Stage one is fear. Introduce fear to the person so that way they can obey anything and everything that we're trying to do. If they can put fear in your heart, if they can put fear in your mind, then they can control you. So don't be afraid. They can't kill you. They cannot kill you. It is against what they're trying to do. They cannot kill you, but you can kill yourself. And that's not their fault, because that just means that you were weak-minded. You can't blame nobody for you not having a strong enough mind in order to make you strong enough for any situation. So they'll throw you into scenarios. And that's what stage one is, to find out where they can put you at. Eventually they'll enter stage two, is when they start communicating with you a lot more, and it becomes a 24/7 thing, and they introduce themselves as an entity, or they'll introduce themselves as a force to be reckoned with. But don't bother so much on trying to find who these people are, because these people are going to be there on your dying bed. These people will be there. I will hear these voices on my dying bed. My last breath, I will still hear these voices. There is no escape from this, unless they want you to be by yourself and away from the program. But in order to do that, you can't beg them. That's something that they do on their own. You have to keep your sanity, because as you're introduced to this, you become so fearful that you don't know what you're doing, that nobody's there to help you, that nobody can back you up, that nobody's there. But you have to understand that we're here for you, and so is God. God sent the community in order to keep you safe and to keep you understood, because you're not alone. So as you're watching this, just know the introduction to stage one is just for them to pin you down. Stage one is just to pin you. Hello, my name is Luis Torres. I'm a TI for about 5 years, and I wanted to discuss stage two. Stage two is where they actually confront you. I'm not 100% sure as how gang stalking does it, because I only dealt with gang stalking for maybe about a month or two, like at most, which was the most intense that I've ever felt. But I know with V2K, this is where they stop the subliminal messages and directly start having conversations with you to let you know exactly what you have done wrong, or what they didn't like, or anything like that. You have to understand that they always point out a problem. It's always a problem that is either in your life, that has happened in your life, or that happened in somebody else's life. So this at this point, it's an accusation. You're dealing with an accusation, and this accusation is what's the main motive behind your targeting. In a spiritual aspect, this is a detrimental point in your life where you either cause somebody harm, or you influence somebody the wrong way, and these beings, or these entities or people, whatever they may be, didn't like it, and it became the main source for your targeting. Um, they'll have conversations with you and let you know that, this is who I am. They'll let you know. They'll have code names for themselves. They won't directly tell you their names, but they'll tell you a name that they comfortable with. And if you're smart enough, you'll be able to decipher that, and you'll be able to find out who they truly are. And as long as you surprise them, you'll be like, well, is your name this? And is your name that? Is your name this? And as long as you're doing your studies in psychology, you'll be able to decipher their reactions. You'll be able to decipher their responses. So you'll be able to find out a little bit about them, but it takes time and it takes a lot of hard work. The study of a human behavior is very hard. You have to study more than one person in order to sit there and create a percentage of what a person would do or what a person wouldn't do. However, you need to be able to study your operators individually, because usually it's more than one operator. As far as gang stalking, that just means that they don't want to, if they don't confront you about it, they'll do it in a subliminal way, but it'll be more intense. Everybody will be talking about this. They want to make sure that you don't forget what they're talking about. So you have to be able to open your mind and say, well, if I did this, or you can tell them, show me, and they'll give you visions. They'll inject these visions into your head, or memories. At first I was saying that it was visions, but I realized that, after I stopped hiding myself from these people, I started realizing that they have total access to your memories. So they're capable of taking you back in time into that moment where you actually done something wrong. Now, I don't suggest this for anybody who's going through gang stalking, but if you're ready for it, if you feel as though you're ready for the next level to communicate with these entities or beings and find out what's really going on, just know that gang stalking is just a minute part of it. While you're being gang stalked, they are monitoring your neural activity, so they can hear what you hear, see what you see, and feel what you feel, inject thoughts and all kinds of this stuff. So while you're going through gang stalking, you're still capable of talking to these people, even though they're not around you. You can talk to them, through your mind, which is, telepathic communication. And by doing so, it's just like when you're reading a book. I said this in the last video. It's just like when you're reading a book, you use that inner voice, or you can even speak out loud. But in order for people not to think that you're crazy, I would say use your inner voice. Now, keep antagonizing them and say, I know that you're there. I want to talk to you. I want to find out what's going on. And you could just possibly trigger a telepathic communication with the gang stalkers in order to find out what's going on. However, I don't recommend this, because if you're not ready for V2K or telepathic communication, then you just might have just bumped the bee's nest and stirred up the storm. So, you have to be very careful. But if you're ready, and when you're ready, you can communicate with these people. And this is the confrontation. Now, the confrontation is, well, we don't like this, and they might not even be so upfront about it. They'll just be like, well, you did this. My voice is, after a while, broke down and started letting me know. Or my operators, because I hate to say voices because it makes me sound schizophrenic, and I'm not schizophrenic, but my operators or these entities, they started expanding their answers. It went from, all right, well, you did this, to you did this and I don't like this because this and this and this. Or, if I've ever offended a man in any way, or a woman, they would say, well, you offended this woman, and this is why I feel offended by the way that you offended this woman. So they make it a personal vendetta against you, that you have actually caused some kind of discomfort in somebody's life. So they want to punish you for it. This is how they do things. This is the way that they police. This is a new way of policing that they're doing against us. So they want to fix something, but they don't want to fix it unless you're capable of fixing it yourself and you're willing to fix it yourself. So you have to put in the footwork. You have to sit there and learn how to, well, listen, I apologize. And they won't go for I'm sorry in the beginning, because, at the beginning stages, they'll sit there and say, well, you're only saying sorry because we're doing this. So you have to be able to say, well, I want to fix this because you genuinely want to fix this. Not because you hear voices, but because you genuinely want to fix this. And in order to fix this, you have to be able to find the problem. And in the beginning, stage one is where people don't know what's going on, because, it's like somebody's attacking you and you don't know what's going on with what's going on. So you're hearing these sounds, you're seeing these visions, or you're experiencing these emotions or feelings or scenarios, but you have no idea what's going on. So that's where they isolate you, so that way they can communicate you with the most, so that way you can truly find out. But they won't make it easy. You have to put in the footwork. You have to ask questions. Well, why am I here? And sometimes it'll be a spiritual answer. My girlfriend, she's a targeted individual. She's been a targeted individual for about 7 to 8 months now. And they told her, well, listen, you came from heaven. You came from heaven, you left heaven to come to earth, and we don't want you on earth, because they sit there and say, well, we're trespassers. So everybody that's a targeted individual is a trespasser against these entities or these people, operators, whatever it is that they may be. You're stepping in their territory. And the reason why they want to isolate you so much is to communicate with you and to keep you from interacting with any kind of social like behavior with anybody, because they feel as though you're not worthy, or you haven't earned your right to be a part of society. So they want to separate you from society. It's like living in hell, where you're totally separated. Your parents aren't your parents, your children aren't your children, your friends aren't your friends, because everybody's acting erratic. I've had a combination of V2K, Gangstalking, and do weapons all at one time. So I've had all three. It wasn't all consistent. I hear the V2K or the voices or these operators the most, more than I do Gangstalking. But once I've experienced Gangstalking is an ongoing process. And even though it might not be out in the open, Gangstalking is a process that affects everybody every day. So whenever there's an argument in the house, all of that is part of the gang stalking, that, they're targeting other people in your household in order to get them to look at you differently, or manipulate their brain patterns in order to look at you differently. This is how people think that they're recruiting people, but it's not. It's all mind manipulation, where they try to use the people around them, because they sit there and see that these people are capable of being used, and being used unaware. So they don't know that they're being used. A lot of the people don't know that they're being used. A lot of the people don't know why they're following you. They're just following you off of either instinct, thought, because they injected a thought into them. So, the confrontation of everything is where you have to, open your mind up and see where you did wrong. It's like the 12 steps for Alcoholics Anonymous, or Drug Anonymous, or anything like that. You have to understand that there's an inventory that you have to do in order to make things right. You have to not please them, but show them that you're capable of rising above the initial confrontation, because the initial confrontation is what got you into the program, or into the situation that you're in now. So as far as do weapons, you have to communicate. You have to find a way to communicate with these beings, and they won't stop. They'll lessen up. Or, they'll change their tactics from aggressive to passive aggressive. But in order to do that, you have to be able to open your mind up to understand that, man, I might have done something to deserve this, And a lot of people say, well, they haven't done nothing. But if you look at Jesus ain't do nothing, and he got punished. So, they saw a problem with Jesus that, you know, I hate to go into religion because there's so many religions, and not every audience member that's watching this video is, you know, believes in Jesus or believes in the Prophet Muhammad or anything like that. But what I'm trying to say is that innocent people get attacked too, because of a reason. Either you're a threat to them, you know, you have shown them some way that you are a threat to them, and they want to stop that. So you have to open your mind up and say to yourself, all right, well, they're confronting me about this, so how can I change either myself, the situation, or change the way that they're thinking in order to stop, or in order to lessen the attacks that you're going through? Because it's all part of empathy and sympathy. You know, you have to be empathic to these beings, because these beings don't want to do this. If they're human, no human wants to do this unless you're a total psychopath and you actually enjoy hurting somebody. It's not human nature to enjoy hurting somebody. Usually when you hurt somebody, you end up, you know, feeling bad and want to apologize. So these voices, these targetees, I mean, not targetees, these operators, they're going to let you know that you did something wrong, and they'll let you know why you did something wrong. Now, what I'm trying to get across is that you have to get your point across, that you want to fix this. You want to fix this somehow. And by you opening yourself up to apologizing, to making yourself a better person, you know, you'll elevate yourself to a higher existence, or to a higher plane. You know, you vibrate differently, because I know that a lot of the comments lately have been talking about vibration. But in order to elevate your vibrations, you have to be willing to either forgive, forget, or be forgiven, you know, so that way you can start a whole clean slate. And that's what these beings want you to do, to start a clean slate, to live a righteous life. So, and they're going to force you to do that. And their tactics are vicious, but it's effective. You know, it's effective towards me. I've changed my life. I mean, I don't do some of the things that I used to do anymore. I don't do any of the things that I'm very antisocial, because I know that a lot of the people are part of the program. So I try to stick to targeted individuals. I try to talk to targeted individuals, because it's harder to manipulate a target once they're already a target. Because once you're not a target, you can be manipulated and not know that you're being manipulated. But once you're conversating with these people, once you're seeing these people, it's hard to manipulate you, because you are already aware to it. So it makes it difficult. So as far as the confrontation, I think, you know, from my personal experience, I think that you have to open your mind up that not every thought that they inject in your mind is false, because only you know what's real and what's not. So I think that you should be a better person and try to find out. Be that detective and find out what's going on and how you can fix it. Don't become aggressive, because when you become aggressive, you'll make people uncomfortable. You'll go to jail. You'll do all these things. But stage 3, you know, we'll go into that more detailed in the next video. But stage 2 is the confrontation. That's when you'll have an understanding of, all right, well, this is what they're saying, whether it's true or not. But, you know, they're not going to lie to you. They're going to tell you exactly what's on your mind, what's on their mind, and why you're in the program. It's up to you whether you accept it, believe it or not, you know. So with saying that, you know, take the time to start doing some studies to make yourself prepared for this conversation that you're going to have, because you're going to have a very long conversation, because it's 24/7 V2K. So in saying that, look forward to the next video. I'll post it tomorrow. Subscribe if you actually want to hear this. If you don't, then that's fine. This is all for targeted individuals. All right, you guys have a great day.